Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda, picking up from where we left off last week. At the ending of last week, Prime Minister, the Honourable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, met French Ambassador to Ghana, Mr. Antoine Joly, who stated that his country wants to be a proactive partner in Ghana's overall development. The non-resident diplomat and his delegation discussed Ghana's development agenda and the increased cooperation between the two governments. The opportunity was also used to discuss Venezuela's aggression towards Guyana, of which the ambassador reiterated his country's support for Ghana. PM Phillips said he was heartened by the French position on the Ghana-Venezuela border matter and the outpouring of support from other nations as well. Minister of Amerindian Affairs, the Honourable Pauline Sukai, has distributed $31 million to communities in Pataro-Siparuni, Region 8, as part of government's response to the pandemic in the country, especially in the hinterland regions. Saturday's allocation benefited 5 communities located in the Sub-District 2 area: Mykobi, $10 million, El Paso, $3 million, Campbelltown, $10 million, Princeville, $5 million, and Morwa, $3 million.
Our government have moved a position and moved the entire position of our fight against COVID from one when there was no response or minimum response to one where there is now significant response. What the government did to achieve where we are today is, first of all, as we assumed office, was to transition the National COVID-19 Task Force into one which dealt specifically with addressing our concerns.
Minister Sukai said government also began working with regional bodies to ensure their specific COVID-19 task forces were on par with that at the national level. The needs of communities were also prioritized for relief.
The movement of our responsiveness to this challenge is very visible. Our food supply was shuttled into many areas that were affected by COVID-19. Hotspots were identified and population there were supported.
During the visit, Minister Sukai also presented COVID-19 essentials to the Regional Health Office for the communities in Sub-District 2. These include a brush cutter valued at $100,000 for El Paso and an all-terrain vehicle valued at $2 million to Morwa. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honourable Mohamed Anil Nandlal, has assured residents of Pomeroon Supinam that the PPP government would not neglect them like the previous government did. The AG made the comment as he wrapped up a 2-day outreach to the region. He also sought to address matters of housing raised by residents.
We are told by the residents here that lands and surveys simply stop processing their applications and stop addressing their matters. That much was made clear. And also, almost every area on the coast was neglected. So what you have now is a preponderance of issues being raised and the constant complaint is that for 5 years, the people didn't see a minister other than election time.
Government's outreaches to communities, led by President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, are the fulfillment of another manifesto promise to ensure continuous engagement with the people. Minister of Public Works, the Honourable Bishop One Edgell, began this week with the distribution of COVID-19 relief funds to Amerindian leaders of villages in Region 10. Minister Edgell said the multi-million-dollar grants were testament of government's continued commitment to Amerindian people.
This is not a one-off fly-by-night, trying to keep Amerindians happy program, as some people might want to say. This is part of a structured, well-planned, well-orchestrated strategy to ensure, number one, the empowering of Amerindian communities, to ensure the sustainability of Amerindian communities, and to ensure there is vibrancy in Amerindian communities.
The terms of the cash grant require each village council to hold village meetings and consultations with the villagers prior to approval of any project. Afterwards, project proposals, detailed estimates, minutes of meetings, and a meeting attendance sheet must be submitted to the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs. Minister of Agriculture, the Honourable Zulfikar Mustafa, engaged residents of Manchester, Albion and Hogstown Berbice over the past weekend and has promised to address a number of issues affecting farmers in those areas.
We will do enhancement work to enhance the drainage system. But we can't do it in a haphazard way, as I rightly said. Now we have to have a program. So I'm instructing NDIA that Monday at 9, their engineer must come back here, go to the back dam to look at the program. I need a program by the end of next week to see how many canals need cleaning here or excavation, and then we'll decide how we'll do it.
The minister said government has made massive investment in the sector since August to rehabilitate neglected infrastructure and reduce production cost for farmers.
Our infrastructure that were there for years, we haven't seen any repairs done. We haven't seen any enhancement done to them. As a result of that, we are experiencing these kinds of problems now. We had to go and get emergency funds to deal with these issues.
Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honourable Charles Ramson Jr., has examined infrastructural and other developmental works undertaken by his ministry at the Buxton Friendship Community Centre Ground, East Coast, Demerara. Approximately $2 million was spent on the recreational facility.
We came here in December, and when we got here, it was shocking to see the state of this ground, which is a community ground. And when I met with some of the execs and some of the community leaders, it was very important for us to work out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it quickly. The big issue that I had was a safety issue. So the fence was falling apart, and on top of that, you saw some of the wires, the electrical wires, were on the ground. So it meant that kids could have become electrocuted.
Minister Ramson Jr. told residents that the PPPC government would not make empty promises but would stand by its word and the people of Guyana.
I've said this many times before, and I continue to say this. This is the direction that the President has given to us as the Cabinet, which is that he is going to lead a government for all people and for all communities. That's the direction he's given to the ministers, and that's something that I've been doing, and that's something that all of our ministers have been doing, and we intend to do that.
On Wednesday, Minister of Health, the Honourable Dr. Frank Anthony, again appealed to citizens to participate in government's Mass Drug Administration MDA program geared at eliminating filaria in Guyana. Minister Anthony said the program would be officially launched soon and teams would be dispatched to regions which have recorded a higher prevalence of the disease.
We are scheduled to launch this program on the 12th of February, and we are looking at a small official launch at the Umanayana on the 12th. Immediately after that, around the 14th or so, we'll officially kick off the rolling out of the program, and the program would start in regions 3 and 4, and it would go for about 2 weeks.
Minister Anthony said adequate personnel will be on the ground to ensure everyone has an opportunity to benefit from the program.
We have enough people to literally go house to house and meet everybody and distribute pills. So we expect that this program would go on in these 2 regions for about 2 weeks.
By March 1 to March 14, Minister Anthony said health personnel would be in regions 6 and 10, and then the other regions to execute the MDA program. At least 70% of the population has to take the IDA drugs before Guyana could be certified filaria-free by the World Health Organization. On Thursday, The 17th sitting of the National Assembly began with members of Parliament being cautioned about breaches of the parliamentary standing orders and repeated public accusations of bias on the part of the Speaker of the House. MPs were warned that any future occurrence of breaches of the standing orders will be referred to the Committee of Privileges. Other matters in the House, the PPPC government has awarded some 446 local and overseas scholarships since August 2 last year. Minister of Public Service, the Honourable Sonia Parag, provided a breakdown of the scholarships offered by the regions to the National Assembly. Region 1, 14. Region 2, 21. Region 3, 51. Region 4, 226. Region 5, 23, Region 6, 42, Region 7, 7, Region 8, 7, Region 9, 10, Region 10, 45. In a written response, Minister Parag told the National Assembly that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most of the scholarships awarded were being accessed virtually. 26 of the overseas scholarships are also being accessed online. Minister of Health, the Honourable Dr. Frank Anthony, says a gene expert machine has been set up at the Latham Regional Hospital, Region 9, to test for COVID-19, while another has been deployed to the Mabaruma Regional Hospital in Region 1. The minister told the National Assembly that a team would soon be dispatched to Region 1 to conduct training.
During this week, we'll send a team out to train those persons in Region 1 so that we can start utilizing that gene expert machine.
Gene expert machines have also been installed at the Linden Hospital Complex, Upper Demerara, Berbice, Region 10, and at the New Amsterdam Hospital in East Berbice County in Region 6. The ministry is also procuring 2 additional machines to be placed in other regions. The National Assembly on Thursday also gave the nod for the amendment to the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act, FMAA, which will increase the efficiency and effectiveness with which Parliament could consider the budget of constitutional agencies. Senior Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, said the amendments concern several provisions that were inserted into the Principal Act in 2015, shortly after the APNU-AFC coalition took office.
The intent stated at the time, the intent of the FMA Amendment Bill was, the stated intent was to give effect to Article 222A of the Constitution, which relates to the financial autonomy of the said constitutional entities. And the then amendment articulated a 2-stage process whereby the budgets of constitutional agencies would be brought to the National Assembly, considered by the Assembly and approved, and then incorporated into the national budget, which would subsequently be submitted to the House for consideration, at which time the budgets of the constitutional agencies which had been so incorporated would not be reconsidered by the House, but would simply form part of the annual budget.
The amendment has removed that 2-step process and now allows for a single process of submission to the National Assembly. The sitting wrapped up with the House confirming the ministerial order on the CARIFORUM UK Economic Partnership Agreement, which was issued by Minister Singh on December 30, 2020. On Friday, government has plugged $58 million into 8 Amerindian communities in Region 7. This is aimed at fostering development and to cushion the effects of COVID-19 through income-generating projects. However, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, the Honourable Gail Teixeira, said there must be accountability and transparency on how the monies are spent.
So I hope that, one, as I'm begging you, you get the check, you call your village members together, you know them, you show them the check, and you say, okay, what are we going to do? What can we do? We have some outstanding issues we need to address. Should we use it in this way or that way? We're not going to interfere in your concept. When you put up your concept, this is what you're doing and this is what it'll cost. That is your business. What you are going to have to answer for is accountability. Now, when you get the 5 million, the 10 million, or whatever, it's accountable, how you use it.
The sums were provided under the government's $1.73 billion COVID-19 relief fund through the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs. Farmers of Little and Big Bible Mahaica Berbice, Region 5, are urged to prepare themselves for the government's agricultural transformative agenda, even as major investments are already underway to transform agricultural practices there. Minister the Honourable Zulfikar Mustafa on Friday engaged farmers at the Little Bible Bridge to determine the challenges encountered in the fields.
Our job in the ministry is to resolve your problems. We are the government and we have to be the facilitator. We will work with each and every one of you. So when we come to these areas here as minister, I am happy that you are raising these concerns. I will not be disgusted with you or be frustrated with you. I am here to listen to you, and I will not make commitment and say that we will do this and do that, and when I leave here, everything gone. I want us to develop a relation where we can work together.
Rehabilitative works on the Hunter Street, Alboystown, are ahead of schedule after it was restarted a little over a month ago. During a site visit on Saturday, Minister of Public Works, the Honourable Bishop Juan Edgell, expressed his satisfaction with the pace of work on the project.
This is my second visit to the site since the project has started, and I think what I'm seeing is a great improvement on what has been, and responding to the cries and the complaints that came from the community since I assumed office. Practically nothing was here. Where you're seeing the loom and all the rest of it that here, this was all mud. That was dug from the drains that was left there. And the delay of getting this work started is to get the contractor to remove the mud to clear the site. So I'm happy that work is moving apace.
Minister Edgell noted that the road is a very important link in alleviating the traffic congestion getting onto and off the East Bank corridor. The project complements the 4-lane widening of the Sheriff Mandela Road. The initial $86.6 million contract was awarded to Surrey Paving and Ideal Engineering in May 2019 and was scheduled to conclude in December 2019. However, the contract was terminated after the contractor was given several extensions and works remained at a standstill. The contract was then awarded to Vera 66 Logistics in December 2020 to complete the works. Minister Edgell also on Saturday commissioned the newly constructed $15.1 million concrete bridge at Sussex and Hogg Street. This is after the original wooden structure was damaged by a heavily laden truck in September. Minister Edgell said owners and drivers of sand trucks, containers and other transportation haulers must stop using and damaging community roads.
Now this is a community bridge. A community bridge. Not a bridge in a commercial zone or a bridge that should allow for commercial traffic. It's a community bridge. Yes, it could carry a truckload of sand, canter with materials for building of a home, an improvement of somebody's dwelling place. But to have an unconscionable act of a containerized truck with a 40-foot container on it, using a community bridge to turn around by reversing on it and collapse it, is something that must be addressed in a very public way.
The minister said while this was a familiar occurrence, it has to stop as development cannot just mean repairing what is broken. Fixing internal city roads is the responsibility of the Georgetown Mayor and City Council. However, The Ministry of Public Works stepped in as many were affected. The Sussex and Hawk Street Bridge was completed 4 weeks ahead of time by contractor gov't Construction Incorporated. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.